Hello everyone, I'm back. I'm making these videos more frequently. I don't know, just because maybe you want to see what's going on day to day. So today what I did was I flipped the whole thing upside down and did the areas that I couldn't get to with it right side up. Now I flipped it back over and I'm getting some of those detailed areas. So here's what I've got. Again, there's those light colored white areas where the rain kind of attacked it, but it's solid, it's okay. I went through and did all of these lower areas that were difficult to do before. Again, gravity, there's no point in fighting gravity. If I could have, I would have put it up on its side and done these, but that was a little bit difficult, especially doing this out in the yard. The nice thing about doing the yard is I get sloppy with the resin. It's not a big deal. It's not like this is pristine grass or anything. You can see where I patchworked things together. I don't care if it's overlapped and doubled or whatever. The idea is to cut the pieces just so that they fit. Let's see what else. I left the extra area here overhang so that when I do remove it, it will come off easily, hopefully come off easily. This is only one layer of fiberglass mat on top of, actually it's got quite a bit of resin on there. If it was just the one layer fiberglass mat with the right amount of resin, it would be 45 thousandths thick. I'm sure in some places it's 45, some it's more than that. Some, I doubt it's less than that anywhere. Except for there's probably some spots I missed. I'm always rushing. By the way, I'm exhausted. I'm putting in some long days. So anyway, this is a lot of work. Let me warn you. I was questioning whether my fiberglass guy was overcharging me for the hours. After doing this, I can see that, all right, because he's doing it right. I mean, the parts that he gives me are in really nice shape. Mine, there's going to be some defects because I'm rushing through this. So I can see how it would take a lot longer to try to get it perfect. I'm not trying to get it perfect. I'm just trying to get it close enough. I still have some areas that need to be covered. Let's see, if you look down here, I don't think there's fiberglass mat on top of this. I think that's just pure gel coat right there. You can see where the fiberglass mat, so actually the parts that show through help me determine where there is and isn't fiberglass mat. This headlight area really sucks. I want to turn it up on end, but I wanted the rest of it to be cured enough that I can do that without worrying about it. When I flipped it over, I accidentally scraped it on the ground and it had grass in it. Not a big deal because, again, it's only mold. I don't care if there's grass in the middle. But I did take a brush and brush it off, so it's not a big deal. I still do have this last area to do, some of these areas, so I'm going to do that. A guy just messaged me and said, hey, you know what? You really should do those headlight areas in silicone. I wish I would have thought of that, or he would have said that earlier. I looked into it several years ago and I got talked out of it because at the time I was trying to make full, fender molds, body molds, things like that, and it just wouldn't work well for that. But an area like that, I mean, I could literally do the easy part, relatively easy part in fiberglass, and then that more complicated area, I could just do it in silicone. So I will look at that. I'm not sure that area is going to release well and come out well. If it doesn't, then no big deal. I can make sure I get the basic shape here. This area is not difficult to do in fiberglass. It's just getting it to go over this hump and down into here and all these curves and stuff is a bit difficult. I'm going to go ahead and give it a try, but if it doesn't work, silicone molds will be my back up. Same way with this little turn signal area right there, turn signal pocket. That would be something that would be good to do in a silicone mold. The rest of it I can do in fiberglass without too much of an issue. So I would say I'm about 75% done with the first layer of, like I said, PVA, wax, gel coat, and fiberglass mat. So I'm about 3/4 the way through. The other fourth is the tough areas like that. And then these vent areas were a royal pain in the butt. So I went from the top and did it, and then from the bottom and did it. But in some cases, I can't tell. Again, sometimes it's hard to tell, but I don't think there's any fiberglass here or here. But there is, obviously, you can see that it's there. So what I'm going to have to do is go back in and look at what areas I missed. And it's unfortunately hard to tell. In some places you can see the texture right there. You can see there's the texture of fiberglass. There's the texture of fiberglass. But there's other areas where I really had to look close because I put enough resin on it that you couldn't see the texture of the fiberglass itself. Let me see. This area was a royal pain in the butt trying to get this. This is one of the reasons why on my C8 I am stealing the mounting points. I've done this in the past. It's really hard to get the fiberglass to conform to these little U-shaped areas. You can see that it really didn't. There's air right there. But again, that's one of those things I said, you know what? I'll fix it later. It's not worth spending the time. Maybe if I could have clamped it or something. A strip of wood would have worked right there. Just cut a piece of wood that width, just take it in there, clamp it with a couple of clamps. That would have worked. So if you do it, that's a great approach. I didn't think of it, and I don't have all this stuff to do that. Luckily, it was sunny all day long, so I was able to get a full day's worth of work in. But as we speak, it's starting to sprinkle. Luckily, this is all, I believe, it's cured enough that the rain's not going to hurt it. I could run to Walmart and get some plastic to cover it, but again, I honestly think it's cured well enough that I don't have to worry about that. It's been a couple hours since I last applied any fiberglass. Here, my plan was to go back and bend that edge over, but before I got back to it, it had already hardened, so that's not going anywhere. I did do the lip from the bottom side, so the lip on the bottom side's done, this is done, but there's a gap in between those two that does not have any fiberglass on it. So I know that that area needs to be done. Again, I think there's some areas right here, although I do think I did cover this. So again, I'm going to have to go over this with a fine-tooth comb and see what areas got covered, what areas didn't, where there are blank areas. It wouldn't kill me if there were some blank areas, but it's just, then I've got to go back and fix it. What's probably going to happen is any area that doesn't have the fiberglass reinforcement, even though there's resin there that's, like I said, 40 thousandths. It's probably not 40 thousandths because it doesn't have the fiberglass, but it probably has little to no strength. So I wouldn't doubt that some of these areas would break out if there's not fiberglass reinforcing it, but I don't know. We'll find out. But I would rather avoid that. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, go over it once more, trim off these areas, look at it close and say, any area that's not covered with fiberglass mat, it won't take long to do them. My plan is to stand this up on end. See, luckily I have this covered pergola or whatever. It's not really covered, it's lattice, but anyway. So after this cures and the rain stops, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this up on end, but I got to get some plastic or something so it doesn't sit in the grass. But I'm actually going to lift it up on end, and then I can use the pergola stand up there. Oh, and I put a table here. I've got this as a pretty decent work area. So let me show you. So what I can do is stand that up on end, stand up on this bench, And that should put that headlight at a nice working area. So then gravity's helping me instead of as it is now. It's not fighting me because it's, vertical, but it's also not helping me. So I will go ahead and try to do the headlight area as best as I can. And then, like I said, find some of the blank spots that I missed here and there. So I probably have another day worth of work. So I lose track of it, but I think this is the third day that I've worked on this. So I've got 3 days in this up until now. And I've got another day to do the headlight area. And then, in all the areas. And then I think I'm going to try to pull it off with just a single layer of fiberglass mat. The reason I'm doing that is, as people have brought up, I didn't make this in a multi-piece mold, and this is normally something that would be at least 3 pieces. I think the top there, possibly the headlight area. I'm looking at it thinking that maybe if I treated it like a tilt front end, that the whole thing would come up from there. The issue is that side area, you can see that it curves in there at the back, but by being thin, only a layer of fiberglass, I could probably flex that out and get it to come up. Don't know, I won't know until I do it. I suspect if I were to put the second layer of fiberglass, it would make it twice as thick, which is 100,000ths of an inch thick. It might not be flexible enough to come loose. It might not. Again, the other advantage though is that the part itself probably isn't even 100,000ths thick. Let's go see if we can tell. Use our calibrated eyeballs and see. But it's not real, it was made to be lightweight, so it's not real thick. So if you look at this, you can see that, again, it's hard to tell, but that orange part right there, I bet that's only a single layer of fiberglass mat. Because the thing's real light, I can carry this by myself. So now you're updated. Again, it is starting to sprinkle now, so luckily I cleaned up. Stopped a little bit early and cleaned up. Otherwise I'd be cleaning up in the rain, which would suck. I don't think I'll be able to work on it tomorrow. Rain's predicted for the next several days. So I'm going to go work on the 3-axis, 5-axis mill, load another spool of filament into the 3D printer. That will be going while I'm doing that. I probably got at least 3 or 4 more spools that it's gonna have to go through to finish printing, but at least it's printing, it's working. All right, so that's it for now. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks, and from other YouTubers, I'm finding out that, hey, if you can get people to converse, talk, comment, whatever, it also helps you a lot on your YouTube channel. So go ahead, ask me some questions, make some comments. Don't be rude. Honestly, I will delete your rude comment and block you if you go over what I think is a reasonable comment. So, all right. Hope everyone's doing great. And if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't know Jack. Bye.